Hi, this is African Time. The name is Velashi Studios. Well, let's discuss Africa, shall we? We have a point or a page called Africa Black History, and they have shared this interesting fact. It says top money printer economies between 2022 and 2023. So Zimbabwe is having 709%, South Sudan is having 63%, Nigeria having 51%, Angola having 39%, Ghana having 33%, Sierra Leone having 32%, Malawi having 32%, and then lastly Libya having 28%. Zambia having 23%, Egypt having 20%, and Kenya having 19%. Alright, so all these figures you are seeing right here are actually the inflation rates that these countries actually gained in the year 2022-2023. Okay, they are saying that these economies right here, or these countries' economies, are said to be the top money printed countries, or they are producing or they are printing in more money with less goods to actually recover that. Okay, so they are saying that these economies are the highest top money printers in Africa, and these are their inflation rates over the years. Okay, well. Alright, so they also came in and says, according to the central banks and IMF, other nations should learn from countries like Zimbabwe, Ghana, and Nigeria on how to avoid severe hyperinflationary challenges, which reflect deep-rooted economic instability and policy mismanagement. So based on this is actually sad. They are saying that countries should learn from Zimbabwe, Ghana, and Nigeria based on how these countries are printing in more money into their economy by not having enough goods that can cater for the money they are printing. Okay, they are saying that this is the reason why they are having hyperinflationary challenges, that the country is all going on through a lot of you all know how 2024 went for Ghana. Ghana was having an inflation rate of about 40% somewhere in a year. Nigeria also had their dollar to naira ratio going against that. The dollar was running so high against the naira, and then the country was facing a lot of inflation, and then cost of living was high, and then the country was protesting everywhere and then. Okay, these are the reasons why they are saying that other countries should learn from this and stop printing money into the country's economy. Well, this one says in Ghana, the excess printing of money by the central bank drove almost 800,000 people into poverty due to hyperinflation, according to the World Bank. Yeah, that's true. Somewhere in the year October, it was shared by the World Bank and the IMF saying that due to the high cost of printing of high cost of living and inflation, about 800 Ghanaians have been driven to poverty. That is true. That news was shared. Okay. Alright, this one also came in and says Zimbabwe should be a perfect case study for all economic students and world economists. Well, he's saying that Zimbabwe should be a case study for all economical students and the world economists to learn how hyperinflation actually works. Okay, because these countries are printing in more papers but for less goods. Okay, so this is one of the reasons why Africa countries, or some countries in Africa, are having a tough time with the economy. Well, now let's see this. They share this. It says only 9 African countries print their own currencies. We have Nigeria, Algeria, Sudan, Egypt, Kenya, Zimbabwe, Morocco, South Africa, and then DR Congo. These countries right here are said to be the only countries that print their own currency. But hey, let's see this. Let's do this some more thing here. Okay, this is some more analysis here to actually understand what I'm actually discussing today. Okay, let's learn something here. So it says how printing money can cause inflation. I want to ask, if you need more money in the economy, why don't you just print more money? That's what people actually say. It's some common knowledge in some African people. They say that if Africa, the dollar is beating the African currencies or the African economies, why are we not producing more of, or why are you not creating or giving out more of the country's money? Well, let's actually discuss the reason why you cannot just be printing money, because the money will lose its value without no value added goods to it. Okay, now see this, how printing money can cause inflation. So let's see the graphic here. You have number of goods, money supplied, and average price of goods. So you have 1 million under the number of goods, you have 10 million under the money supplied, and you have 10 under the average price of goods. So it says that 1 million and then you have $10 million, that will give you 10 goose. Okay, now the government prints 10 million, that is the money supply doubles. Now we have 1 million of goose, but we need 20 million of money to buy 20 average of goose. So now it says that now there is more money but the same number of goose, so prices increases, inflation 100%. That is how inflation actually works. Okay, so this is some simple diagram for you guys to understand how inflation actually works. So it's saying that when you print more money, it will actually give you the goods, it will rise its value, but there will be actually no value for the money. Okay, because it will have there will be more money to buy the same thing. That is it. Doesn't make sense. Okay, printing more money for lesser goods doesn't make sense. Yeah, that is what we are talking about, hyperinflation. So these countries in Africa were said in the year 2022-2023 they actually increased their inflation rates due to poor planning and then excessive printing of money. The countries are Zimbabwe having a percentage of 109%, South Sudan having 63%, Nigeria having 61%, Angola having 39%, Ghana having 33%, Sierra Leone having 32%, Malawi having 32%, Libya having 28%, Zambia having 23%, Egypt having 20%, and then Kenya having 90%. All these sources according to central banks and the IMF. Okay, that is where we got this information from. So I'm actually here to discuss something about Africa and also share with you some important aspects about the African economy so that you can also learn and know what is happening in your continent. The name is Rashi Essay. Hope you enjoy this section of African Time. Thank you for your time. See you guys next time.